Hello there. My name is Jared Buss, and I'm the assistant pastor at Olivet New Church. And as part of my job, I also serve as pastor to the students and the families of Olivet School. And all of us are dealing with something pretty unprecedented right now. I've certainly never been locked up in my house because of a pandemic before. And what I want to talk about right now is the emotions that this is bringing up in all of us. Odds are that pretty much all of us are feeling some level of fear or anxiety because of this. And for good reason. There's a lot to be anxious about. There's the disease itself and the fear of getting sick. There's the economic uncertainty, the fear of the loss of income. And then there's just the disruption of normal life and the loss of our familiar rhythms. And that affects us more than I think we sometimes recognize. And what are we doing with all that emotion? Or how are we handling it? The truth, if we're honest with ourselves, is I think we're not doing anything with it a lot of the time, or too often. We're often trying to pretend it doesn't exist, and we're fine until we blow up at the dishwasher for not working, and the truth is we're not fine at all. We have a whole mess of emotion going on. And that's even worse or even harder to handle if you, like me, are a parent to small children, because you're busy all the time. You've got other people's needs, other people's emotions in front of you all the time, and it can be hard to just find space to process. And what we need is that kind of space, and I would say a feeling of safety and peace. I would put before you that more than anything else, the feeling of strength or courage to persevere with the things we have to persevere with comes from a sense of peace, a deep internal peace. And that peace comes from the feeling that we don't have to be in charge of everything. We don't have to be figuring everything out on our own. The feeling that we're being taken care of, that there's something out there that's stronger than us, that can be a safe place for us. And that's who God is. And what I'd like to suggest is that now more than ever is the time to turn to God as a source of peace and a place of safety. He's the parent to us parents, the one who can take care of us when we're worn out from taking care of other people all the time. The one who can just tell us, it's okay. You can just let it all go for a moment, because you don't have to figure this all out. I've got this. And this is something that we hear about a lot in the Bible. And I just want to read to you a couple of verses from Psalm 61, talking about fear and stress and all these things. It says, "Hear my cry, O God, attend to my prayer. From the end of the earth I will cry to you when my heart is overwhelmed. Lead me to the rock that is higher than I." So that psalm is talking about feeling overwhelmed, our heart being overwhelmed. Maybe because we're laser focused on some fear or anxiety, or maybe just because there's too much going on and we're overwhelmed with stuff we can't even really recognize because we don't have time to look at it. In any of those situations, what we need is something higher than ourselves. Something like a rock that will hold still while the rest of the world spins. And that's what God is willing to be to us, our safe place. One of the biggest stumbling blocks that we have in turning to God is, I think, that to many of us it seems that He should have stopped this from happening in the first place. He should have prevented the coronavirus outbreak. Or even we could be mad at God because it seems to us that He's responsible, that He caused the coronavirus outbreak. And there's so much to talk about there, but the bottom line is that I don't think that that's true. I do not believe that God wanted this or that he caused it. The New Church teaches that there are things that God wants, and then there are things that he merely permits or merely allows, unwillingly, as it were, because to stop those things would cause a bigger problem somehow, somewhere down the line. And you know, there's so much that we don't understand. And that's okay. It can be hard to accept, but it's okay. The thing we need to hold on to is faith that God did not want this, that he grieves with us. He grieves for our fear, for our suffering. But also that he sees more than we see, and that means he sees beyond this pandemic. He sees beyond our fear and our stress. He sees the happiness on the other side. He sees the strength we can take out of this. He sees the good things we can learn. He sees the awareness of our need for community that we can carry forward out of all of this. You know, everything good that can come of this. And above all else, he knows that he is able to keep our hearts and our souls safe. And that if we turn to him, we don't need to be afraid. And that's why he's surrounded with peace, because he knows it's going to be okay. And in his presence, we can find that peace. In his presence, we can hold still and know that we're being taken care of, and it's going to be okay. And I certainly wouldn't suggest that that's something we're going to feel all the time. You know, in 20 seconds, my own kids are going to burst through the door and everything I'm saying is going to be forgotten. But even if we just pause for little moments and remember that God has this in his hands and that we're not the biggest thing in creation and that that's really okay, that gives us a reservoir of strength, something to help us keep going. And that's something I would wish very much for all of you, a feeling of peace and strength. So may the Lord be with you, and good luck finding your way through this.